Welcome to the Everything Made Beautiful podcast with Shannon Scott, where we talk about life's seasons, joyful, challenging, and everything in between, and how God is working in all of them. Join us each week for conversations filled with hope, truth, and the encouragement that He is always making everything beautiful. This podcast is sponsored by Kava, helping you take your next step in faith through digital resources that deepen discipleship. Check them out at kava.tv. And now, on with the show.
We're back.
We are back.
Second crossover episode, and this time we are all Christmas.
And all casual.
Yes, I am in pajamas, Christmas pajamas with reindeer on them.
And me too. Thank you to my niece and nephew, Grace and Matthew, for giving me my pajamas last year.
I was about to say this might be the first time I've appeared publicly in my pajamas, but that's not true because I was a children's pastor for so long, and we would do pajama Sundays and do Christmas pajamas at church.
Girl, I have been to the local Publix in my pajamas.
I don't know that I'm that brave.
I might have had a coat or two on.
I might be a little prideful for that. I don't think pajamas are my most flattering attire, but podcast audience, here they are.
Yeah, this is it.
We have our Christmas blankets on our laps because we're a little chilly.
And can I just make a statement for those of you that are looking?
Yes, watching on YouTube.
This is not a fake background. This is Shannon Scott's home. And so we are cozy fun, cozy good.
We moved
to a
log cabin about a month ago now, and I've talked about it on the podcast, but it's called Deep Woods Refuge.
And I feel every ounce of that.
You feel like you're in a refuge?
Yes, and it's closer to me.
Yes, it is.
And I gain an hour coming, so
yeah,
I'm here in an hour and a half.
It's a win.
On the clock.
Yeah, my son he lives in Chattanooga in Eastern time.
Right.
So when he comes, he says it's basically like he loses nothing because he gains an hour. And I'm like, that's not quite how the math works, especially going back. But I feel great about it. If that makes him come more, I feel fine with that line of reasoning.
Yes.
So we did a crossover episode in November for Thanksgiving, and we wanted to do another one for Christmas. And again, much like that one, we do have a topic in mind, but we just want to be casual and vulnerable.
Yes.
And I said when we ended last time that I often think at Christmas time, and I've even spoken about this sometimes at women's events, of like, the biggest thing that you hear in the holiday season is usually peace on earth, which is what the angels said to the shepherds when they told them about the birth of Jesus, peace on earth, goodwill to men. Or actually the translation of scripture that I love says, glory to God in the highest and peace to those on whom his favor rests, which is us. But I sometimes think, peace on earth. I would settle for peace on me. How do I get that? And then I'll worry about peace on earth.
Yes. I'm the same way. I mean, peace has often been so circumstantial.
Yeah.
Or what's going on in the outside world. And really, peace is that calm.
Yeah.
While everything is chaotic.
Yeah. Inner peace, INNER, not everything is peaceful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not enter, ENTER.
Yeah.
Like inner, inside of us.
I don't have to go find it.
Right.
It can be a reality that I live in.
Yes.
Of peace. We've got our two podcast audiences and have said very transparently that we're people of faith and we're Jesus people. And a lot of times I have described it as I have and you have positional peace because we know Jesus. We know where we're going. We know, quote, how it all ends. And so no matter what, we have positional peace. Our position is secure.
Right.
But practical peace, day in, day out peace, peace even when things are a total cluster of mayhem, that's something very different. And that's something that we have to work toward.
That's really what we want to talk about today.
Yeah.
Is that position.
My biggest example of this, no question, was my dad. I would describe him as a person of peace. And it's really who I want to be. I don't think anybody, I'll just be frank, has been like, when I think of Shannon, I just think about peace. I don't quite have his temperament.
You and me neither.
But one of the things, and I've said this before, certainly in writing, but one of the things about my dad that I have really reflected on since he died is that he made it a practice of his life to be unoffendable.
So good.
It wasn't that he didn't have anything to be offended about. I mean, he was a pastor vocationally my whole life and would come under fire, and there were people who disagreed with him, and he had hard conversations and he had difficult work seasons, but I never saw him angsty and offended.
That's good.
And I have wanted to replicate and emulate that in my life. And the thing I've come to with my dad was that, and I think you may have mentioned this on our last episode, was he just at the end of the day cared more about his peace than he did about his point.
Yes, good.
And I tend to care about my point above all and being right.
Yes.
And the older I get, and it is coming quick now, the older I get, the less that matters.
Yeah. Gosh, I wish I could admit that. I'll be vulnerable here. Sometimes it depends upon the people.
Yeah.
For me, is sometimes I really want to prove my point. And when I look around, whether it's, my family and it's my team or organizations I work with, so the further away from personal I get, the less point I want to make.
Yeah.
But I have to be really careful about wanting to be right and knowing that sometimes the older we get, the sharper all that becomes. Not sharpness of keenness, sometimes it gets harsher.
Yeah.
And so I have to be really careful at watching the traditions that have been handed down in generations of the Willis and Mason family, of being careful of not trying to prove my point.
I think one of the things that we encounter at the holidays, we talked about it some for Thanksgiving, and it matters at Christmas as well, because families make it a point to get together. But when that happens, comes for most families a convergence of lots of different points.
Yes.
Points of view, political points, cultural points, socioeconomic points, what we think about theology, what we think about faith, and
the planet.
The planet, save the planet. It can be really hard to lay down your point in favor of peace. And because we're both leadership coaches, we do have a tool in the giant ecosystem that, for me, this is such a good self-regulator of how do I achieve practical peace.
Yes.
Not as a fleeting thing that rises and falls based on how I feel or how everybody's treating me or whether or not my point is being made, but if I can assess my peace in these areas, it helps me be a person of peace at the end of the day. So would you mind talking about the Peace Index,
Sure.
what it is, how it can help us, and then I know we kind of want to land on a couple of these.
Yeah. Well, and when you think about the Peace Index, I'm going to compare it to the seasons. So think about a snowflake and the way it looks. There's a center core to the snowflake and there's spokes out. So that's the picture of this tool. The center is, what is my peace? If I had to give it an index from 0 to 100.
Just kind of like percentage points.
Percentage points. Like, what would that be? And then each are impacted by 5 Ps. It makes it really easy to remember. And I would say, if you're thinking about it, if I had a little number over my head right now and it said I was at 72% peace and Shannon had a little bubble over her head and it said you're at 92% peace, it'd be nice if we walked around the world with everybody having that over.
Yeah.
Because someone else's peace can impact my peace. I have to realize and think about the external piece is not what is there. And so how do we look at our own peace? And maybe if you're in your home or you're at work and you're thinking, what's going on with this person? What's in their upstream? Something's off. This is a great tool to say, oh, let me go ahead and get to the bottom of it. So the 5 Ps are purpose, people, place, personal health, and provision.
Okay, say those one more time.
So purpose, people, place, personal health, and provision.
Okay.
Now, we're not going to really go into provision and personal health today. And we can put in the show notes a link to the Peace Index book that will help break this down even further. But with the purpose, it is your personal purpose. Are you fulfilling that purpose in every day, every moment life?
Whew, that feels overwhelming.
Okay, so we'll break that down just a little bit. Second one's people. It's people, your family. It's your neighbors. It's the people you work with. It's the people you encounter at the cable company.
The Publix checkout girl.
Yes.
Yep.
It's people. Who are the people in your life? And is there peace around that? Is there a lack of people? For me, I've had community so deep in my 20s, 30s, and 40s. And now in my 50s, I'm in a little bit different style of life. And so sometimes I miss people from a community. I have friends, but community. And then the third one we're going to talk about is place. And so the place can be your own personal space at home, your house. Is it a refuge like Deep Woods? Is it you're frustrated with your neighbors? Is it the cul-de-sac is not the place you want to be, or the neighborhood is not? Do you have that place in your home that you go to recharge? Is it your office? How do you have it set up? If you're at home, do you have it set up in a way that you've got a high percentage on your place? Is it the right city? Is it the right county? Is it the right church community? Is it the right country? Like those three things I really want us to unpack, because leading into it could be the place you're spending Christmas.
Yeah.
And it might not be the tradition it's always been. So how do we recognize it and know that is the number that's down? So instead of expending all my energy in the people, which are all great, the place might be
what needs my attention.
What needs my attention.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to rethink that intentionally to have the inner peace I need that will not pour out in an unhealthy way on others.
When you talk about, let's just go with people first.
Okay.
When you think about people and you're kind of assessing your peace index as it relates to people, might it be that somebody goes, I don't have this kind of person in my life, and so this is what I need to look for? Would that be an indicator, as opposed to like, all right, here's all the people in my life, let me rank them? Is it, if I feel like there's a lack of peace in my people quadrant, am I kind of wanting to get to the bottom of what that is? Okay, so maybe like it's like, I don't have anybody that's encouraging me or calling me to more.
Yes.
I don't have the person who knows me inside and out. Maybe a relationship got fractured, or you've lost a long-term, like at the end of the day, I know you know me, Shannon, Scott, you know me at the very, 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 very core of who I am. So I feel seen in that.
Right.
So it could be that you are assessing that there's a deficit in the kind of person that needs to be in your life. Okay.
Yeah, I would add, I mean, this is going to get really practical fast. I mean, I experienced inner peace like I have never experienced about a year and a half ago when I hired a guy named Mondo Salivatini.
Yeah.
To be my financial advisor. And I thought I was purchasing someone to figure out my finances, and I bought peace.
That's
I
good.
slept better than I've slept in a really long time. Having, we said this on the last podcast, single, haven't ever had a partner to help me with my finances. And so that brought a new partnership. So those solopreneurs out there, those entrepreneurs out there going, oh, I don't have a team. It's not really my team in the people world. It could be who's supporting you.
Yeah. Holly
Holly Brown is my executive assistant. When she came into my life, she's bringing a new found peace for me.
Oh, that's so good. And transparently, I was saying to Masi, because of what we're going through with my mom and, becoming empty nesters and all of that, I was like, I have so much stress around finances. And she said, you need to talk to Mondo.
Yeah.
We got on a Zoom with Mondo, immediately hired him. And you're right. That has brought a level of peace. I think if we think about people that could be missing and could be contributing to a low peace index score as it relates to people, Maybe you don't have a pastor that you know and who knows your name. Maybe you don't have a community, small group, community group through your church. Maybe you don't have a church home. You're hopping and skipping and jumping around because there's something that doesn't feel peaceful. It's worthy work to dig deep into the peace index as it relates to people and figure out what's missing, but also celebrate what's there.
And at work, it can be someone who maybe you are pouring out, but there's no one pouring in. You know, maybe you're working really hard with your team, but you need to go find a business mentor in maybe a different department in a different organization that's pouring back into you. I mean, let's just say where the loneliest place is in organizations. At the top. And so oftentimes CEOs need or should look for trusted advisors like leadership coaches or fellow CEOs. Pastors should be partnering with other pastors that have safe spaces. So just really thinking more when it comes to people, don't only think about family, but think about all the people you encounter. And is there a place where, you know what, this person just doesn't bring the best out of me?
And I think this is such a practical, like, so if you're thinking, okay, how do I apply this? I would say, sit down, piece of paper and pen, write down all your people, not just your friends, the people who are in your life, and then begin to categorize those people and find out, are there gaps? Do I have people represented spiritually? Do I have people represented emotionally? Do I have people represented relationally? Economically, financially, all of those things. And there may be, I don't know how many of us have ever sat down and just really kind of taken stock of our people. And that seems weird and clinical. But it is an aspect, a very critical aspect of those 5 spokes on the peace index.
And I'd say from us, for the fact that we use giant worldwide material, we were at a conference a few months back and someone said on stage, and I thought this was so great, the difference of Giant compared to other personality assessment companies is you walk into the community of Giant physically and through technology, and people know your name. And they call you by name. And that allows most of us that are out here running our own businesses to be in a community inside of our certification is a gift. Really understanding human connection is so disconnected today.
It is.
And so really thinking about people being much more intentional and relational, because we're living in a digital world and we're only going to get worse if we don't work on the relational age alongside of the digital age.
So one of those 3 peace index identifiers we're talking about is people. The second I'd love for us to talk about is place.
Place, I think we often think about it, the physicality of it. So we start with our home, right? Is your home the right place? You know, I've had someone recently say, my place is tanked because I have the worst neighbor ever. We are in constant battle legally over a stupid fence. Well, you know, it might be time to consider something different. Place can be your refuge space inside your home. Is your kitchen the way you want it? Is it functioning the way you want it to? Place is going to be with you forever, so make it the way you need it to be. I have a friend, Libby, and she was there they were in the military. They're retired out of the Air Force. He now flies for Delta. And one thing, I visited 17 bases in our relationship and friendship of them traveling. Every single time she got to base housing, she instantly made it her space. She painted the walls. She physically painted them all. She created her home. Even though she knew she'd be leaving in 2 years, she still made it her place. Is it the right church? Like you said, I am in a county that I cannot brag enough about. Cherokee County, Georgia. That county sees me. So even for me, it's coming to the place where I feel like Cherokee County will be my home and to look at buying a home there. So place is more than just work. Place is more than your organization's name or what your office is. It's any place you visit, any place you vacation.
Yeah. I've said really transparently on other episodes of the podcast just recently the story behind Jeff and I moving out of Franklin and moving to the mountains of Tennessee, where we are now, buying a log cabin. And it was about place, and it was about the peace we had in our place and being really intentional in the decision making in that. So it could be a small thing, like I've got to figure out a place in my home. Or it could be, if you have the luxury to be making this kind of decision, a completely different change of place, which is what we did.
Well, and you stack those two, right? So your people changed because you launched all your birds, and your place has changed. And so when you look at a place of change, when people have changed and you did it together at the same time, it was probably very helpful because your home did not go dormant and there weren't empty rooms and memories of the past. My mom and dad and I have recently talked, and these are hard conversations. You've already dealt with this of, my parents' prayer and hope was, we don't want you to have to put us in someplace. And we don't want one of us to lose the other and have to go through a change of place. When life is changing and a person is now missing. And so they're just so loving and gracious to my brother and I to be willing to discuss, what does this next season look like at 84, and my dad in a couple of days is going to be 86 years old, of going, are we ready to go into maybe a fun independent living space that has activities and restaurants and salons and fun things?
Them getting to choose their place rather than you and Jay having to choose it after they can't.
Or put them there.
Yeah.
And so that is for us a place. That's their place, but it's going to impact my brother and I, and of course my sister-in-law and all my nieces and nephews. And so that is a gracious place for them to be thinking about for me. So place isn't only yours, it's also what you may be responsible for.
So I think a practical step out of this would be, in the same way that you did with people, catalog all your places.
Yes.
I agree with you. Like, if my office where I work, whether it's here at home or for many decades, I was in church offices. But my office, they made fun of me, and one time even gave me the award for rearranging my office the most times.
Yes.
I love rearranging furniture, but at the end of the day, at the bottom of that is about that my place has to be a certain way for there to be peace in my place.
Yes.
And so make a list of your places, catalog your places. Are there changes you can make if your peace index in that place is low or lower than you'd like it to be? Are there intentional changes, be they small or big? Maybe they're free changes, maybe they cost money, that you can make that will raise the peace index in your place?
I did that in a really unique way in Oklahoma. And there's some financial people out there that say that's crazy. But I realized I had stayed in the same hotel for 4 years in room 205 in a hotel in downtown Tulsa because my client retainer worked there. And I was there from basically Sunday to a Friday. And I compared the financials, and my clients openly compared them with me and were like, you're not your best version inside of a hotel. You don't like staying in a hotel room, so you come down to the lobby. What if you had a studio condo and it's the exact same price? Why not do that? And it's brought me a different peace when I travel. I don't pack my clothes. I'm not worried the night before trying to figure out what's the weather and what am I wearing. I don't pack my makeup. I don't leave anything at home. It makes my travel more peaceful. It makes my place more peaceful, and it makes the people around me more peaceful.
Yeah, it's good. So people, place. Now let's talk about purpose.
Yeah. A lot of people, I think, often think purpose is tied to a place, tethered to a person.
Yeah.
My purpose is to do this at the hospital. My purpose is to serve underneath this leader. And purpose really isn't that zip code or that job title. I use it as a lens.
Mm.
For me, it's like glasses I put on my face. And several years back, I was working with a guy named Horst Schulze who co-founded the Ritz-Carlton and sold it years ago. He's a brilliant man. And I worked across, our offices were directly across from each other. He's so focused on vision. And what is your vision, purpose? What are you focused in on? And before you do anything, you got to have a vision. And vision isn't just for an organization. His vision was have the #1 hotel in the world, but vision for your life. And so a couple of years back, I really just through prayer and thinking about what I felt like my purpose was. I went through insurance, and then I went through ministry, and then it was like motorcycle rides and movies and events and, all the things and strategy. And really at the core during the pandemic, I realized the one thread I had consistent in my life is people.
Mm-hmm.
I love people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said it earlier, but people are my cocaine. They are my high. It's what gives me it just really is a purpose for mine. So my own personal statement I wrote for my own life was to change the world one person at a time. And I morphed that into a business statement, which was change the world one individual leader, one team, one organization at a time. So through the lens of life, I live out that purpose. If I'm going to the gas station, that gas station attendant, I need to change his world one person at a time. If I'm sitting at a restaurant, if I'm having a conversation with you, with my parents, with a client, my goal is not what I do. My goal is through the lens of making sure I've impacted and changed that person's life all through the world, one person. That's what my purpose is in life. So it doesn't matter the title I have. It doesn't matter who I work with or who I work for. It matters how I live.
I will say I have struggled throughout my life to realize that my identity is not rooted in the place I'm connected to. And you and I both collectively spent a lot of time servicing and serving willingly the vision God has given other people who are really clear on their purpose. And part of the reckoning for me in this journey over the last 3 years has been, who are you if you are not attached to them?
Yes.
And
so good.
What have I put you here to do that only you can do?
Yeah.
Another Andy Stanley-ism. Only do what only you can do. And so what is it that only I can do in the way God's given me to do it?
Yeah.
And so for me, it is, how do I use the words God has given me to bring life, healing, clarity, wisdom, humor, know? How do I take that the greatest gift God's given me is the words that he's given me and use that for the highest possible good of the people I'm in front of?
Yes.
And once I realized you're not who you are because of who you're connected to, unless it's Jesus, you're who you are because of how I've made you to exist in the world. That has been transformational for the last, I would say 18 months solidly, but for the journey began about 3 years ago of really realizing that God was requiring me to stop tethering myself to other people for identity.
Yeah. I just had a flashback moment. And when you talk about your purpose and the words, I'll never forget when a friend of ours, Candy's brother, passed away, Rick, and you were charged with communicating the words of everyday updates, every week updates, all the way to his death date. And your words were what the Lord used to purpose even their own grief journey. So when we think about that and you go back and look at your life and it's not what you did, but in what you were doing, what made you uniquely yourself, it helps us with our purpose, not go from job to job to job.
Yeah.
But am I doing and being who I'm purposed to be in this place?
And we can have our purpose regardless of where we are, regardless of our job, And whether or not it's the greatest job on earth and the only one we ever wanted or the level that we wanted, that doesn't change our ability to operate with an extreme amount of purpose.
Yes, I agree. I really do agree. And I love the lens part of it because how, I can sit and when I'm really questioning myself about how I'm treating someone, or if I feel like, oh, this person has just triggered me,
Yeah.
I can say and think to myself, how would I treat this person with my purpose being to change the world? One person at a time means that I've got to change it for the good. I'm not
Yeah.
going to, am I changing some people's worlds for the bad? Yes, because I'm a sinner and
Mhm.
sometimes I lose my patience. But even in my reverse mode of when I have to go back to apology, am I doing it in a way that that person would go, wow, I've actually never had someone come and do that or say that in that way. So it really helped me not to go, why does some people, my purpose is to sing. My purpose is to be a writer.
Mhm.
My purpose is to be a financial advisor or an insurance agent or a doctor or a nurse. And I'm like, I have such a nonlinear life. I'm like,
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. What, for the love of all mankind, why do I keep changing every 2 years, every something? But I can look back over and know I always had people
Yeah.
and I loved people, whether I was the healthiest version of myself or not. That is what I have been purposed on this earth for.
It's funny you say that, and you don't need me to blow smoke up your skirt here. So this is not you asking for it, but I'm going to tell you, as somebody who has seen the whole trajectory of your adult life, you are the best version of yourself now, and you are the most peaceful version of
Mm,
yourself now.
mm.
Not that you're, walking around in,
Perfection.
flax, clothing and, floating. You are every bit your big personality, you're every bit as driven, you're every bit as opinionated, but you operate now with that lens of transformation for the good,
Mm-hmm.
and it has impacted the way that you show up in the world. And so I just want to affirm in you that it might be easy to be like, blah, 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 and peace, but it's working.
Yeah, it is working. And I feel that.
Yeah.
I don't feel the angst of proving myself. When I start getting, or this is for me, and I don't know how it is for others, but when I start getting this hustle mentality or this, I've got to fix it or I've got to think about it, I end up realizing at that point in time, pause, that's not you. Go to your peace. The Lord's undoing something in you. So sit there. You were talking about purpose, and I want to reference this right quick. We talked about it in the last podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and words are definitely your gift and what the Lord's given you. But I think looking at Church of the City and having moved to Nashville, and then we got to do some Church of the City together, and Darren inviting you to really be yourself. And you stand up and deliver your words that God has given to you. One other thing that I realized is you've always grown someone else's thing. You've grown, other ministries. You have grown, a registration process. You have grown your home. But the thing that I recognize in having lived out Church of the City is that you grew a ministry. And Darren, I'll use an analogy because, I love speaking.
I know you love a good analogy.
Darren kind of being as a horticulturist looked at your culture, your greenhouse of children and women's ministry and said, go be a gardener. And maybe he didn't say it that way to you, but you took all your plants, your team and your volunteers and the people of the church and said, these are mine to grow. And I personally sat there with 100 women the first time I ever came to a table experience and to 1,500 in just a couple of years, and a children's ministry to 500 to 1,500 kids. And what that looks like for the church to then have to think in the future of if we've put this gardener in here, cultivating
Mm.
this ministry. The greenhouse is there for us to be able to control and grow and cultivate, so that then we can transfer out into the field and harvest can happen. So I want to affirm you in saying, yes, your words, but your words actually are growth. And I think Church of the City and Darren's leadership gave you the ability to see how much you can grow, and now to be able to go out and coach and grow people in their faith and church community in the kingdom. Your words are the avenue for the growth that you're able to cultivate.
That's very kind. Thank you. Yeah, it was a sweet season. And you're right. It was often like, here you go. Like, and to the glory of God, it was a really sweet season, and I enjoyed so much of it. And I think it's what gave me a vision for what is my purpose when I'm not there, like I'm not right now.
Yeah.
And so people, place, purpose. So with your purpose, if you've never sat down and gone, what are the gifts God's given me? How do those gifts intersect in my daily life, in my family life, in my vocational ministry, corporate life? And what do I feel like when I lay my head on my pillow at night? What do I feel most alive doing? How do I identify what my purpose is? Most of us know it. We just haven't spent a lot of time thinking through it and being intentional about it. So what would you say to someone who might go, I don't know what my purpose is?
Yeah. That's great. I have that a lot. I've coached several people that have said that. And I don't know that I have the clear answer because I'm not the maker. And I do ask people, and I would say to you, I'm going to use a business transformation term, and I'm not great at this, but it's what we call swim lanes. So when you're looking at an organization, you create swim lanes in a process. It's like, what happens in the customer experience, layered on top of the accounting experience, layered on top of the inventory experience, on the sales experience. So those swim lanes create the same process, but how does it impact all of those different departments? So create a swim lane of life.
Yeah.
What does your vocational life look like? What does your volunteer life work look like? And in the different seasons of life, what did you do in those? And do you see a thread? Because mine was vocationally, nothing made any sense. But the one thing I did volunteer-wise is I had been mentoring and coaching high school girls and young women in their new job spaces. And anytime I was in a workforce, I was mentoring women and growing them, and was like, wow, that feels like that is what I'm purposed to do. So I'd encourage the kind of the practicality swim lane. And then I'd look at what are my glasses?
Yeah.
What do I do that is so random, but you can see it everywhere?
Yeah.
So that would be my first kind of practical thing.
Yeah.
Just constantly ask the question, not what I do, but in everything that I do, what would people say I show up as?
Yeah. A lot of when we hear pastors talk about purpose or vision or those sorts of things, they tend to say a lot of the same thing in several different ways. So I won't get this all right from one person, but it tends to be the intersection of what God has gifted you to do and what breaks your heart.
Yes.
Where you see a need in the world, what keeps you up at night would be a way to say it. The thing that when it happens or when you find out about it gets your attention and you happen to have the gifts to be resourced to do something about it, that might be a clue into what your purpose and your vision is, can be for your life.
That's probably a lot of where I landed with people is people have used it against me and have said, you're just too big. Like you love too hard. Like I can't
imagine telling someone, stop loving me so well.
I mean, literally have someone say, it's really hard to love you because you love everyone so well. You have the capacity to invest, and it's overwhelming to try to figure out how to do that back for you. Now, at the time, it was hurtful. Now I'm like, I'm not picking that up as my problem. That is your problem. But I am gifted in the capacity of loving. And even during this season, I think the world's getting this wrong. Um, and, from our faith, we look at the big three and God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I often say to people, the polarizing problem in our nation, I'm not going to get overly political here, I'm going to go much more spiritual, is as Christians, as people of faith, we were never asked to be godlike, justice, love. We were never asked to be that. We were never asked to be Holy Spirit. We were never asked to be the judger, the whisperer. Hey, don't forget.
Yeah, the convictor.
Hey, yeah, you shouldn't be. We were asked to be Christ-like, and Christ is love. And so I've shown up in places my whole life that brought tension to my family relationships, to friendships, where people chose to do different things in life than I would choose to do. They believed in different faiths. They had different political stances. They had different lifestyle choices. And the one thing I've always sat in is He called me to change the world one person at a time. And when I realized that was my calling, it's because I had the capacity to love. And I have a weird ability to relate to people that are strangers. They
Yes,
still
you do.
see, I can strike up a conversation with anyone. Now I have to coach myself to hold that back. But that's what, during this season, I just would challenge people, and you're looking at purpose. It's not something you prove. It's something you sit in.
Yeah.
And when you think about the holiday season or any day, simply loving is very different than proving.
Yeah, it's good. And Jesus died for people. He didn't die for politics.
Nope.
He didn't die for climate change. He didn't die for socioeconomic status.
Save the whales.
Yeah, he didn't die for race.
Mm-mm.
He died for people, image bearers.
Mm-hmm.
And when we love like Jesus loved, we love all the people that he died for. As we think about peace going into the Christmas season, or actually fully in the Christmas season now, practical peace is not something we're going to stumble into.
Yeah.
It's not something that we're going to wake up one day and realize we have, because it is the thing that comes under attack for us most often. But if I can just go real spiritual and pastoral for a second, the thing Jesus left for us when he left the earth was peace. Peace not as the world gives, peace as he gives. That is the peace that he gave to us. And so this peace index is not intended to be a woo-woo, weird, new age, crystals and, spiritual in the strange sense. It's intended to just bring some clarity and maybe a little bit of distilling into peace is a really big and maybe even confusing concept for people. But what the peace index does is it gives us those 5 Ps to be able to kind of dig a little deeper and assess some things. And for those of us who are people of faith, I would ask you to sit with the Lord on it. And as you go through these places, what is my place? What is my index? What is my peace index in my place? What is my peace index in my people? What is my peace index in my purpose? And you might be surprised at what just an exercise like that. Hopefully there will be some slowdown this season. What a great time when everybody's singing about peace on earth to actually find some peace on me in this season.
Yeah. It reminds me, people wreck our peace.
Yeah.
The the world around us wrecks that. And so having practical things to go to think through, intentionality, chaos will exist.
Mhm.
But when we're able to allow the world's chaos to not impact our inner peace, we have to think about really good steps.
Yeah.
What are some really good things we can put into place? I don't want everybody to be like, kumbaya, just
No.
have peace. There are boundaries
Yeah.
that need to be set. There are moments that I know when I reach a certain point, I don't become a better version of myself. I become the worst version of myself.
Yeah.
So I put that boundary in place, not to take away, but actually to love really well.
Yeah, that's good. Ooh, so you're basically saying practical ways to protect your peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
And-
So
and-
set a boundary where it needs to be set.
Yeah, and boundaries are not punishment.
Yeah, that's good. And you
Boundary-
don't have to apologize for them.
No.
Yeah. That's
No.
good. Knowing who you are, knowing when you start to become the worst version of yourself, setting boundaries ahead of time so that doesn't happen. I'd say one of mine would be, what I said about my dad. Value your peace more than you value your point.
Yes.
Especially at the holidays, especially when
Yes.
a lot of people have points. At what point do you bail out
Yes.
of it? Especially those of us who kind of like to spar and like
Yes.
to debate and like to argue. At what point does it begin impacting your peace and it's best to bail out? And at what point do you lay down your point in favor of the peace? Because the peace is with people. The point is not with people. The peace is with people.
Well, and to make your point is trying to bring to an agreement. And peace is inner when the external is chaotic.
Yeah.
So let the point be there. Your point's red, my point's black. Your point's orange and blue. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Move on. We're not trying to prove a point.
Because I love you as a person.
And the question might be inside some people's mind, well, what if they think I agree with them? Who cares? That is not yours to carry. Move on.
Yeah.
I think I've said this some before, but holidays can be at times pain and promise together. And in my singleness, they're hard. People will often say it's the most wonderful time of the year. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you think. And I don't want to take that from others. And one of the things I did a few years back that was very helpful that I want to put out there for anyone who's lost, my singleness is not the only grief. You losing your dad, your mom, really to dementia, your kids have moved out of the house. Oftentimes when we get in that we don't have or that empty space, give anyway.
Yeah.
And when we go and we give, it's kind of like when they say you aren't feeling great, your arthritis is kicking in, go exercise. And it seems so contrary to the fact, but in your emptiness and what feels really scarce, when we give, it really flips that switch and it ends up bringing back to purpose. And so it might even help you if in this season, if you're widowed or you're alone, divorced, you've lost a parent, your children are gone. If I went and served others, where would I go serve? And that might end up telling you what breaks your heart.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, that's an intentional way to, a lot of times they say peace is not the absence of war.
Yes.
We're talking about internal peace that can be there and surpasses all understanding regardless of what's happening externally. I do just want to say thank you for doing both of these episodes. They're not strictly leadership or strictly, everything made beautiful, but just opportunities, hopefully, for people to feel encouraged, seen, not alone, not crazy during the holiday season. And wherever you are listening to this, crowded house, emptier house, quiet room, loud spaces with lots of loud family, you can be a person of peace in your inner life and it will absolutely transmit to your outer life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. We wish you a very, very
Merry Christmas.
and happy
Yes.
holiday season with those that you love. I hope that hope guards you and that peace kind of is able to wrap around you like a blanket. I know that there are really, really hard things for so many of you who are listening. Things that will not get solved with the dawn of a new year or with a whole list of, resolutions or commitments or diets or any of those other things that we all tend to want to do when the page of a year turns. But just remember, two things are true. Life is hard, but God is good, and He is making everything beautiful in its time.
Yeah. And during the season, really lead like you mean it. If
Yeah.
this has meant something to you and it's the words we've said or what the Lord's given us to say have really landed on you well, and you're like, I need to apologize or I need to think about this season differently. And I want the other person on the other side of me to understand too. Share the podcast and really look at if I'm going to lead like I really mean it and fight for the highest good and the people in my life and around me, think of this season very differently. Think of your peace as an inner peace. Consider your place. Consider your people. Consider your purpose.
It's good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mace.
Thanks, girl.
Love you.
you. Merry Christmas.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for Everything Made Beautiful. We're grateful for your willingness to tune in. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share today's episode. For more from Shannon, including articles, resources, and upcoming events, visit shannonsuzannescott.com. We'll see you next time.